Night to Unite did more than bring neighbors and police together. We'll tell you how it will help feed those in need.
Another area officer is killed in the line of duty. We'll bring you some images from his funeral. Plus, we'll find out why law enforcement agencies are joining together to thank the public.
I'm Tracy Minarchuk.
And I'm Ron Hawkins. Night to Unite has become a tradition in cities across the country and in communities like White Bear Lake.
And as photographer Jeffrey Wilson discovered, it's also a family affair.
Ellie Fredrickson enjoyed the company of her neighbors.
Well, I've been here 10 years, and I love it here.
During the Night to Unite event at Washington Square Apartments, an event designed to build neighborhood camaraderie and raise awareness of crime prevention, something the elderly have to watch out for.
We have a security building, but they pose as servicemen, like for Comcast or something like that, and they come in and they want money, they demand money, cash, which Comcast never would do, you know.
But what started as an evening with neighbors turned into a family affair.
Well, originally we just planned to surprise Grandma and have dinner, and Mom had called her and said, hey, we're going to come over and have dinner, and she said, well, you can come over, but you can't bring any food because we're already having a party.
4 generations joined together in the festivities.
My grandmother, my 2 daughters, and my grandson.
We have eaten, and we've had dessert. They had a trivia.
A calm night for this skydiving grandma.
I did that, yes, I did.
Ellie made the jump 13 years ago when she was only 80.
And for a while, I held the record as the oldest person over there to skydive. But
Now she enjoys the company of family
I got a very good support system.
on this Night to Unite.
Thank you.
This was the first year residents were asked to donate food items to the White Bear Lake Emergency Food Shelf.
Residents donated 750 pounds of food.
It's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food, and it was a really good night for it. And I was surprised the day after, a couple days after, it took more than one day for our CSOs and Officer Tuma to go back out and collect all that food.
Oh gosh, yeah,
was
well
pretty
that's
awesome.
a good thing.
Good job by the community.
Yes, absolutely.
Local law enforcement agencies are teaming up to say thank you to the community.
Here's Tracy out at Midway Stadium with the details.
And I'm here today in actually kind of beautiful stadium, Midway Stadium in St. Paul, and we're here to talk to Sergeant Mark Ficcadenti from the St. Paul Police Department, and we're here to talk about St. Paul Community Appreciation Day.
Yes, we are.
Mark, why don't you tell us first a little bit about yourself? You have been a K-9 officer with St. Paul. You live kind of near the White Bear community, and you've helped us out. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. I've been with the St. Paul Police Department 30 years. I spent 23 years with the St. Paul Police K-9 unit. And I do. I'm a White Bear Lake resident. I've been a White Bear Lake resident for the past 25 years as well, and it's a great, great community.
Now, Community Day, St. Paul Appreciation.
Yes.
What is that all about?
St. Paul Police Community Appreciation Day. September 20th, Saturday, September 20th, we have an event, St. Paul Police Community Appreciation Day. And it's not only the St. Paul Police Department, but it's the public safety partnerships that we've developed over the years as well. We are going to fill this stadium with over 6,000 people. And everybody, it's a free event, will have the opportunity to see not only the St. Paul Police Department, the Minnesota State Patrol, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, the St. Paul Fire Department. We've got extractions. We have the Minnesota Aviation Rescue Team, where the state troopers come in with members of the St. Paul Police Fire Department to do short haul rescues. You've got the bomb squad, we've got mounted, we've got the 34th Infantry Band here, we've got the military. The list is on and on of exhibitions and demonstrations that you're going to see. We've got a 1-hour exhibition out in the parking lot with some of the neatest toys that people are going to get an opportunity to sit in, to touch, and to feel. And then in the stadium for 2 hours, you'll see what their husbands, their daughters, their fathers, and their mothers have done for years in the public safety business. And then at the very end, what we have on this scoreboard over here is a roll call of all the fallen St. Paul police officers since 1854, excuse me. So it's going to be a huge event, and you better get here early because we have a lot of exciting things and giveaways for the kids as well.
So do they need an actual ticket to get into the event? Is anyone going to get turned away if they don't have a ticket to get in?
You don't need a ticket for the event. Nobody's going to get turned away. The only ticket you're going to need is for the raffle. We've got several bikes and bike helmets that we're going to raffle for the kids. So it's a completely free event, and we want everybody in the community to attend.
Now, do they have to be here for the raffle?
They have to be here for the
Okay.
raffle. Yes, they do.
So they
Good
can't just
question.
buy a raffle ticket?
No, we want them to ride the bike right off and into the sunset here at the end of the demo.
And what time does all of this start? You said the exhibitions are going to be in the parking lot first, and then you move everybody into the stadium.
Exactly. Our parking lot exhibition will kick off about 1:30,
Okay.
officially 2 p.m. And then from 3 to 5, the dynamic demonstrations and exhibitions will be here inside the stadium.
And it's kind of a whole program from 3 to 5. So you don't want to be coming and going between 3 and 5. You want to get here at 3 inside the stadium so you can watch everything.
Absolutely. We're going to usher everybody into the stadium early enough, get seated. We have an absolutely action-packed show, and we want to keep things moving. People are going to enjoy it. It's going to be very dynamic. And it's a way to say thank you for your support from all our public safety partners.
Now, your agency and community and ours as well just had Night to Unite, National Night Out.
Yes.
How is that event different than this event?
Well, it's different in a couple of different ways. People don't get an opportunity to see really what do police officers do, what do firefighters do. You're going to get a first-hand experience, whether it's mounted, whether it's the motors unit, whether it's SWAT, whether it's K-9, whether it's mobile field force. You are going to experience it firsthand. It's more of an interactive exhibition rather than just a meet and greet. You are going to get an opportunity to meet and greet, but you're going to get an opportunity to meet and greet and climb on some of the equipment, touch on some of the equipment, pet some of the dogs, pet some of the horses. And it's going to be a real different, much more electric and much more dynamic experience for everybody.
And usually National Night Out, we don't get to have that much time at each picnic. So this sounds like it's going to be, like a one-stop shop, if you will, for everything that we do in law enforcement.
Exactly. Typically on National Night Out, you might get a chance to sit in the back seat of a squad, sit in the front seat of the squad, maybe one of the motors unit or one of the specialized unit here. But this is going to be all those units. It'll be an experience that people perhaps young and old have never seen or experienced before, and we want to give them that opportunity. The 34th Infantry Military Band is going to be here. They're going to be integrated with the St. Paul Police Band. We've got honor guards from all these agencies that are going to help open the ceremony up. And then again, at the very end, our roll call of fallen officers, which is very poignant now, obviously, with the loss of Officer Patrick here. But it's just to remember. So it's the never forget. We want to close the show with that.
And with that, we've kind of seen in the news recently some negative things with law enforcement in other areas of the United
Yes.
States. And, well, do you expect to do anything more here to bring a positive connection to the community?
Well, that's an outstanding question. Yes, we want to make sure that, particularly those from the immigrant communities, realize that any interaction with law enforcement, we don't want it to be a frightening thing for them. We want it to be positive, and it is about trust building. It's about trust building today, as it was about trust building 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's all about that. Obviously, the community-oriented policing aspect of it, but it does boil down to trust building. So that's a very, very important part of this as well. And we're going to target a lot of the communities that we want to bring them in here and interact with all those agencies as well.
Well, this is a great event that you've put together, and I know you put a lot of time into
We
it,
have.
and you've had a lot of help from a
We
lot
have.
of other people.
We
So
have.
we thank you so much for being on the show today, and we
Well,
wish
thank you.
great luck, and hopefully we get some video or maybe some photos of your event when it comes up.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, positively. Thank you.
We're going to take a break, but when we come back,
He's a tall man who says he's a big deal. We'll find out if he is. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Joe Cullen, host of Northeast Journal here on GTN Channel 16. Every month on Northeast Journal, we give you an inside look at the people and places that make up the Northeast section of the Twin Cities. On this month's show, we're going to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Northeast Journal and the Government Television Network. We'll take a trip down memory lane with a look at some of our favorite memories from the last 20 years. So be sure to tune in to Northeast Journal right here on GTN Channel 16.
Welcome back. Today's guest is a tall man with a big personality.
He has 15 years of experience in law enforcement, and he recently joined the White Bear Lake Police Department.
We'd like to welcome Captain Dale Haeger to the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being
welcome.
here. You've only been with the police department in White Bear Lake for a short time, but why don't you tell us where you came from?
Sure. Well, I have been here since the beginning of June, and prior to my White Bear Lake experience, I spent 15 years in Lino Lakes, working as an officer, investigator, and as a sergeant. Prior to that, I spent 3 years in North Dakota as a narcotics investigator for way out in northwestern North Dakota in Williston. That's where I kind of started my career out there.
Okay, well, great. Well, even further back, where did you grow up as a kid?
Sure.
How was kid life for you?
Well, I guess it made me who I am today, but I grew up in a very, very small town in southern Minnesota called Ormsby. And Ormsby is about a population of around 100 people. And my dad was a small business owner. He was a truck driver, owned a trucking company. And I went to school at a little larger town of 5,000 called St. James, Minnesota. And I graduated from St. James back in the late 80s. And then I kind of moved around a little bit and kind of tried to figure out what I wanted to do. I kind of always thought I wanted to be in law enforcement. But I was a late bloomer, so it took me a while to figure out that how to get there.
I'm curious, was there any triggering points that that kind of triggered that, or any interactions that you had?
There couldn't have been too many law enforcement officers going around a town of 100.
No, there wasn't, and I did have a lot of interaction with police. I don't really know.
They were all
and that will be the
positive.
next show.
I don't know how to describe them right now, but yeah, I mean, I always had the utmost respect for people in public service, whether it's law enforcement or fire or EMS. I always had respect for them and admiration. I just knew at a young age that I wanted to be a police officer. I can't tell you what pivotal moment in my life created that in me. I just knew that that's what I wanted to be. Of course, when I would tell people early on, that's what I'm going to be, you know, I would get some smirks. But, you know, ultimately, about 6-7 years later is when I kind of started to hunker down a little bit and take it seriously. My first job out in North Dakota, you know, I was a college student, and some circumstances kind of presented themselves, and my first job out of the chute was an undercover narcotics agent. And I spent about my first year in law enforcement as an undercover narcotics agent, and that was very eye-opening for a small town kid, and to learn about that world.
And very unusual for people who are watching. It's not normally how people get into law enforcement. It's not normally the first thing that you do either.
Yeah, I actually, now in the position I am in now, I would never allow that to happen because I think it was a great experience for me to learn. I don't think it was such a great experience, or you know, wasn't necessarily the thing to do with young, you know, future law enforcement professionals, to put them in that position, because it's a challenging role to kind of lead a double life and know where that line is not to cross, and so it was interesting.
So you've had a few different capacities in law enforcement, like you mentioned, the narcotics deal, undercover. I understand K-9 you were involved in.
Yep. When I was in Lino Lakes, I moved to Lino Lakes back in the late 90s, or yeah, 99. And I started as a patrol officer. I was a DARE officer, an investigator. I was a K-9
Your
handler.
hip is talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have the radio
No,
on.
that's okay.
I was a K-9 handler, and then about 4 years ago, I was promoted to a position of a sergeant. Part of that time I spent still handling my canine. And then the last couple of years prior to moving to White Bear, I retired my canine and then was a patrol sergeant.
Okay, well, great. Now, so you're in White Bear Lake. You're a police captain. What are some of your primary duties in that capacity?
Well, I'm officially the administrative captain for the White Bear Lake Police Department, and some of the things I oversee are dispatch. I oversee investigations. I oversee a couple of the volunteer programs, the chaplain program, the triad program. I also handle the kind of the day-to-day administrative stuff that comes up, a lot of the purchasing and that type of stuff. I handle that. Right now, I know that Chief Swanson is looking forward to being able to get another captain on board, and that captain will be a patrol captain, so they'll handle more of the patrol side of things, and I'll handle the other side of things.
Okay, well, and from my side of the building, the fire and EMS, I certainly appreciate you popping over every once in a while, and making sure that we know that you're open to ideas and thoughts. And
well, it's really unique for for a guy who's just been law enforcement my whole life to share a building with fire, and it's really opened my eyes, both from handling dispatch and kind of understanding what that world is all about, as well as trying to figure out how to work collaboratively with fire and kind of know that we're all doing the same job, just different aspects of it, and it's been really eye-opening to me to work with you folks and Chief Vadnais, and kind of trying to figure out what part we have to play in the success of us as an entire organization, in White Bear. So I enjoy that too.
And that's different with having dispatch and our own dispatch center compared to where you came from before. So that's new. Some of the stuff that you're doing is a little bit new than what you were used to.
Yeah, for sure. I've always respected dispatchers, but I've never seen their faces. Where I kind of cut my teeth in Lino Lakes was the dispatch center was Anoka County, and they were tucked away, miles from Lino Lakes in a basement of some government building, and we just never saw them. And so wasn't really subjected to their day-to-day, routine, and now I am, and I'm finding how challenging it is, and especially in White Bear Lake, I think, because this same dispatch center is sending out EMS, fire, and police. Sure. It's very challenging for them, as there's usually only one person on at a time, and I'm kind of figuring that out, that there's some challenges there we have to work through.
They do an awful lot of juggling, and it's amazing the stuff that they do.
What's nice about my current position is that it's easy to compare and contrast departments that you work with, and coming from Lino Lakes, I was very familiar with how they operated, and now coming to White Bear, I compare some things, and most things that I compare, I say, I'm a fan of the way White Bear Lake does it. Some things I think, maybe we could work on that angle, and I'm in a position now that I can do that. But for the most part, when I see things and I can say, that's a little bit better than what we had it, then I get to take credit for that. So that's kind of a nice position to be in.
That was my idea.
Yeah.
Now, how has the transition been so far here? How have you found things?
It's been great. It's actually been everything that I expected it was going to be. I came here because first and foremost, I believed in Chief Swanson's mission. I believed in what she was going to bring to the department, and I haven't been surprised in that. I know that she does a good job. I knew that she did a good job before I came here, so I've been happy with that. I've been really surprised at how the community is here in White Bear Lake, and how they just kind of wrap their arms around public safety. And I was fortunate enough to start at the beginning of June, so I got to go to all the market fests and all the parades and gain about 25 pounds, and it was a great intro to White Bear Lake. But it was, everywhere I walked, and I went to every market fest, and every time I walked down the street, people would come and introduce themselves to me, most likely because they had never seen my face before, which is really interesting, that they know the faces of their public safety professionals, and they had never seen mine, so they came and introduced themselves to me, or they saw my picture in the paper, they saw, they heard my name somewhere, and they would do that, and I was really impressed at that. And that's the second reason why I came here, because I like that community feel. Being from a small town where you know everybody, I like the option that you have to get to know your community, and that's what I've seen so far here. So it's been great.
And they kind of knew that you were a big deal.
They did know I was
You are
a big deal.
deal, apparently.
Yeah,
And
you
if
were a
they-
big deal in Lino Lakes, and,
Right.
and now you're kind of a bigger deal here.
If people don't know I'm a big
See,
deal, I'm willing to
kinda.
tell them that I'm a big deal. Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there it is.
That's great, and I'm glad I was able to turn my head so you
Yep.
could see my bald spot as I was looking at the screen. That's dynamite.
Well, we want you to
that.
feel welcome. You know, you did a show in Lino Lakes, and so
I did. I did a show similar to this, not nearly as professional as this, but I for a short time I sat in your guys' seats, and it was an interesting. It again opened my eyes to a new side of what we have to do here, and I know that part of what you do is just educating the community as well as to who we are and what we do, and I think that's very valuable. I will say that I didn't do half the job that you guys did, but
oh, well, thanks.
yeah, I've watched the
Thank you.
episodes and I'm really impressed with that. Just another thing in White Bear Lake that I'm impressed with. So.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that even though you're a big deal,
Yeah.
that you will come down here to our level and be on the show from time to time and help us.
I will try to
with
do that.
things that are going on. And I know today you've been busy, and that's why you had your radio on, because we've got something going on, and you're trying to balance that. So we appreciate you taking time and
Yeah, well, I appreciate again
with us.
the studio here and them willing to do this for us, and I was glad to finally come down and have a conversation with you guys.
for the
on-
first time, but many more.
hopefully,
Yes.
Right.
hopefully, thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
We're going to take another break, but we'll hear from a family and friends of Mendota Heights police officer Scott Patrick when we return.
There were multiple driving enforcement campaigns this summer, and White Bear Lake Police ranked 5th in the state for issuing speeding tickets.
Great job to the officers, saving lives and making a difference on the streets. To learn more, make sure to like the police department's Facebook page and the fire department's, and of course, Lake Area Beats page.
You can provide us with comments, questions, and show ideas. We'd love to hear from you.
And don't be shy. And speaking of not being shy, Tracy, you challenged another show host recently.
I did.
Take a look.
Hi, I'm Tracy Minarchuk with the White Bear Lake Police Department. I'm also the co-host to Lake Area Beat, the Police and Fire Department's TV show. And I've been nominated for the Officer Down Memorial Page Cold Water Challenge, and I've accepted. And I'm going to nominate some people for the Cold Water Challenge. Hopefully they accept. First two people I'm calling out are my friends Angie and Bridget from the White Bear Lake Police Department. The next person is kind of a co-host challenge for the Maplewood Police Department. Your police report, officer, co-host, Lon Bakey. And finally, our friend at the White Bear Lake Police Department, Kelly McCarthy from Lino Lakes PD. You have 48 hours to complete this challenge. If you accept the challenge, donate $10 to the Officer Down Memorial page. If you don't, donate $100. Are you ready? Come on.
Oh!
Woo! 48 hours!
That was great!
That was actually a lot of fun, and everybody's saying it's cold, and I don't know if it's because I do the polar plunge in the wintertime. It wasn't that cold. It was actually...
You had some ice cubes in there,
I
right?
did, yeah. It was
Okay.
filled with ice cubes and water. It was kind of nice,
Yeah.
actually. And it was fun to challenge your police report. And thank you for being out there and videotaping it.
Cheering you on.
Cheering me on, yep.
And the money,
To the
went
Officer
to.
Down Memorial page for officers killed in the line of duty.
That's great.
Yeah, we like to support that. And
Nice
Mendota
job.
Heights police officer Scott Patrick was killed in the line of duty during a routine traffic stop in July.
Thousands gathered for his funeral, and his family and friends shared some moving memories of him.
We leave you with a look at some of those stories and images from his funeral.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
It's amazing. Checking Facebook, everyone leaving their porch lights on, the memorial site, it truly shows how much respect Scott earned as a police officer and an all-around good human being. He was very proud to be a police officer, and he earned the badge he wore.
As we head down the path of life, we don't know where it ends, but we do choose the route we take along the path. Scott impacted many people on the path of life, evidenced by the outpouring of community support over the past week. Scott's path led him to being a cop. He chose to walk a path fraught with danger. He chose to place himself in harm's way for others. And that's what sets each and every man and woman in uniform apart from the rest.
I think about what Scott would say about all this. A hero's tribute to a man who made the ultimate sacrifice. And I can see him now if he was here. He'd put his arm around me and he'd have a smirk on his face, a twinkle in his eye. He'd say, "Hey, not bad for a Humboldt grad, huh, cadet?" And then I'd respond, obviously. I love you, man. Michelle, Aaron, and Amy, it's an honor and privilege for John and I to share a few words about your husband and father, our brother Scott Thomas Patrick. We are grieving with you, and we are here for you today and the days and weeks and months that follow.
This kid from St. Paul's West Side, with the frequent smile, the low-key demeanor, the guy who could toss out witty one-line crackers, as my brother Mark has called them. They'd bring smiles, took the edge off of stressful situations. This big-picture problem solver was living a lot of his dream. And then in an instant, he's gone.
Lord, if you can hear me, I have something to say. If you're looking for yellow legal pads, Scott has them all. If you find paper clips that were straightened and left all laying around the office, he did it. If you hear the sounds of constantly clicking pens, he's doing it. Please watch over Scott and do him one favor, because he sure as hell deserves it. Point him in the direction of the best restaurant in heaven with half-price margaritas on Mondays.
In love.